morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today's a very important video because we need to talk about two things: bullet velocity and effective damage range, since sometimes people seem to mess them up and forget the one or prioritize the other way too much. JGod, buddy of ours from YouTube, made an amazing list. He took all day long to test every single rifle, LMGs, everything, SMGs, bullet velocity wise, with the attachments, to figure out what do they actually do, because some say they do and some don't do. For example, on the Stoner, let's take this one at first. The Stoner has many barrels. The task force does a bullet velocity increase, it says, but it doesn't. Whereas the cavalry does more vehicle damage and therefore is a useless barrel, but it seems it also does 80% bullet velocity plus, as does the Spasms RPK and the cavalry. Now, this is very important to talk about because on the Stoner, for example, it's the only option barrel-wise. The only option. The cavalry barrel with vehicle damage is the only thing that increases your bullet velocity, making it the only barrel to use on the Stoner. Because the task force usually would be the thing because it says bullet velocity and it's the 21.8 longest barrel, and you would think the longest barrel has the most velocity. But it doesn't. The Lancer has the most velocity. Now, that is the Stoner, and the Stoner has only one option bullet velocity-wise. But if we go through this list, you see that other guns have more options, more barrels. For example, we can look at the AK74u. Did you know that the AK74u with the VDV reinforced barrel has a 1,200 bullet velocity? That's kilo values. That's absolutely insane. Then you have the Liberator, the Rifle, and the Task Force. The standard bullet velocity, though, of the AK74u is 608. And now here comes into place because a lot of people would be like, man, if I'm looking at this, I think we should play the VDV reinforced and no other barrel because the others sting. But that's not the way to look at this. Let's throw an eye on the AK74u. The big thing always is, what are you building your gun for? Are you building it as a sniper support gun? Are you building it as a full SMG gun? Because if we're talking about building the AK74u as a full SMG, close quarter combat, you might actually not even take a barrel. The best case scenario for an SMG would be the rifle. It does not increase bullet velocity, but 608 is more than enough. I play, for example, the MAC-10 with a 350. And you could take the rifle barrel because it enhances effective damage range, but that's not the point here. It gives you 20% recoil control, which it also does not say. But if you're playing this as a sniper support gun, for example, together with an SPR or Car 98, then the VDV reinforced, which gives you effective damage range and bullet velocity, yes, seems to be very good. You have the Liberator, but the Liberator just does bullet velocity. The Task Force does damage, effective range, and bullet velocity, but less. So the VDV reinforced seems to be the best option here. What does effective damage range do in this case? Many people overlook and mistake for bullet velocity because only bullet velocity on the AK74u is useless. Nice if you have 1,200 bullet velocity and technically on 100 meters have hit scan and can like just spray people down. The problem is if you're on 100 meter shoot peanuts because you have your biggest damage fall over there. When looking at the gun base stats after 32 meters, wow, you're shooting peanuts. You know, you're still good off. It's not terrible, but you're shooting peanuts. You have 105 time to kill. Funny story. If we actually add now the Grau. We all know the Grau, right? Fantastic gun. We all love the Grau. Now, if you compare the Grau to the AK74u, hey, it might even be worse to use the AK74u on distance, right? At least if you're hitting chest shots, if we're hitting tummy shots, if we're hitting headshots, it's good, you know? Why even use it on distance? I mean, the Grau is obviously having a better time to kill, but we're talking about, what, 200 milliseconds time to kill? No, obviously, don't use the AK74u on distance. Jesus Christ. So, what does effective damage range do? Effective damage range moves your drop-off to the right. So you get more effective damage range. Your drop-off gets less. So you could move this potentially from 18 meters up to 30 meters, which then for a sniper support gun is absolutely important. So bullet velocity paired without anything does not do enough. This is an argument here right now on the Groza. So we've been playing the Groza as a long-range gun. And a lot of people after the video were like, hey, Pony, you need to change your Groza build. JGod found something out. On the Groza, for example, we have now the reinforced heavy that I've been using. So the VDV reinforced, which does effective damage range and bullet velocity. Fantastic. Gives us 902 velocity, plus then considering that you have the Groza suppressor on, which also gives you sound suppression and again, damage range. Damage range in this case means bullet velocity and effective damage range. Then you have the Groza composite, and the Groza composite gives you plus 72%. So it would bring you up to 1027. So 1027 plus the Groza composite is also a very nice value. But what the Groza composite doesn't do, it does not give you effective damage range. And now if we're looking at the Groza in a time to kill chart, okay, you have a very good starting time to kill of 477. And even after 30 meters, your time to kill is insane. 637 milliseconds. But why would you not increase this to 40 or 50 meters if possible? Like we're talking literally about 200 milliseconds time to kill. We're talking about the difference of having 36 body damage, 28 tummy and extremities, or 29-37. So you're losing quite some damage per bullet if you're doing that, if you're going down. So in this regard, yes, more bullet velocity is nice on the Groza, but more bullet velocity doesn't mean necessarily a better gun because you have enough. Over 1,000 bullet velocity is enough. Consider this, a Kar 98 has 1,084 bullet velocity, and you want to do 100-meter snipes with this, right? You're feeling good doing these. So why would you desperately search for more bullet velocity on the AR where you have the VDV reinforced? Obviously, personal preference, try both out. Again, the Groza has an insane time to kill on any distance, but I would still argue that if you're playing the Groza on range, the VDV reinforced is your friend. Yes, now we could look at the mil-spec because the mil-spec technically gives you a little bit more bullet velocity. So we're talking here 56% or 51%. But then you have to test the recoil if it gets much worse using the mil-spec. Have actually not tested that on the Groza yet, but the Groza already has a harsh pull to the left that we minimize with the Spetsnaz grip. So if we want to do that more, rather don't feel like that. So for me, it stays with the VDV reinforced on all my Groza builds because it's just the best trade-off barrel. Funny story though, if we're talking about XM4, remember when I said XM4 could be used on kind of a long range or the XM4 feels weird? Yeah, it does because none of the barrels actually increases bullet velocity, which I thought. So if we're going for the XM4 right now, and I used to play this as a sniper support gun, and I was super happy with it, I put on the extended barrel because it says bullet velocity. It was like, guys, the extended barrel is the vibe. Realistically, it's not the vibe. The only barrel you can use here right now is a cavalry, ranger, or base barrel. So you could go for nothing or vehicle damage. But you could also leave that away. It seems like a barrel is not needed on that gun, which then makes the build completely different, and we can actually utilize more of a scope too, or a stock. So we can go for the Microflex LED. We can try out the Bruiser or the Field Agent Grip. I actually don't know which one is better on the XM4. If you have done any tests, please drop in the comments below. I would spontaneously probably go for the Field Agent Grip because of the horizontal bounce. We put on the maximum ammo. Now we can then actually play the SAS Combat Stock or the Raider Pad for even more movement fire shenanigans, and then snap on the Agency Suppressor, which is the only thing that gives us fire speed. So it's very funny that you actually don't need a barrel on the XM4 that might change the complete behavior of the gun and might feel you better. Because I've been trying to shoot this with the extended and I've been punished. I literally now see I've been punished because with the Agency Suppressor, which gives what, 30% bullet velocity plus, you're on a good value. But I was scuffing my value. I was reducing it. Something felt deceptively off about the gun. Very interesting. So the XM4 is definitely going to be like this, and we'll see how well that turns out as a sniper support gun. When it comes down to our quick builds, the Ranger has been the best. When it comes down to the FFAR, the Ranger is the best on a long range build or a sniper support build. Again, here we can argue. So there are two things very important to now talk about. The Task Force barrel gives you 51% plus, and the Reinforced gives you 902 plus. If we're now going for the FFAR, you have multiple ways to play this. You can play this as a sniper support gun, you can play this as an SMG, and you could play it technically as a 2x AR, but as a 2x AR, doesn't do that well because of the FFAR going really high with the fire rate. So what True Game Data found out with the Task Force barrel is that the horizontal bounds get squished together when you're shooting. Very interesting. So if you have a Task Force barrel and a Field Agent Grip, and then you're at 902 bullet velocity plus Agency Suppressor, you, again, same argument as the Groza, have enough to play it, especially as a sniper support gun. So the Ranger barrel might not be needed in this case, considering though again that also the task force increases effective damage range. If we're looking now at the FFAR effective damage range, is that important? When does the first damage drop off happen? And we're looking at the FFAR here, 250 plates. We're talking about after 36 meters. So effective damage range in this case, super important, making this an even better sniper support gun. Because with the task force barrel and then the field agent grip, for example, you're very, very good off bullet velocity wise already. So the Ranger might be too much. For the tac rifles, titanium all the way. There's no question. It doesn't matter which tac rifle you play. You go on the tactical rifles, DMR, AUG, M16. The titanium barrel gives you the fire rate. The titanium barrel gives you the most bullet velocity. There's an absolute no-brainer when it comes down to that. Again, SMGs too. People have been asking me, hey Pony, now with the bullet velocity things, what's about the Mac 10? You've been playing the rifled barrel on the Mac 10. Yes, because the rifled barrel, again, gives you 20% recoil control. But 350 meters per second bullet velocity, yes, might be a little bit too less, depending on what you use again. So if you're playing this as a sniper support gun, yes, as a sniper support gun, I would play the reinforced heavy. There's no question about that. Because the reinforced heavy gives you the most efficient bullet velocity plus damage range. If you're playing this as an SMG, I'll argue that the rifle is enough because the rifle does effective damage range and recoil control. Plus then the agency suppressor is a powerhouse to beam on any distance regardless, because you have that going on. Bullfrog, by the way, guys, with the Liberator or the reinforced, has an over 1,000 bullet velocity too, making it a very interesting sniper support gun to think about that we'll absolutely test out. When it comes down to the Tundra and M82 or Pellington, combat racken, combat racken, combat racken. No question here. So what did we learn about this video? What is very important? Again, that no attachment does what he says it does, but also that bullet velocity is not everything. So please do not just look at this chart and be like, okay, which is the biggest percentage? Yeah, going over. Okay, that's what we're taking. It's a case to case basis. I've been reading this a lot in my YouTube comments now. No hate on the people that posted it. Don't feel shited by me right now. But it's not that simple. So like, hey, Pony, Jay got found out that the bullet velocity got increased. You have to change your Groza build because I didn't think about the consequences. I will believe, though, that the GRU composite is better than the VDV reinforced. And you're not completely wrong, but you didn't think it completely through and forget the other stats to consider. Therefore, always see the bigger picture. Don't try to see a tiny little bit of the picture. Try to see, what does your gun do? What is your gun supposed to do? You're planning to use a Groza together with a Kar 98. Well, you're never going to shoot over 31 meters, which then means you might be well good enough to just max the bullet velocity as much as you can to just be faster on target, if that makes sense. So your bullet, you're not planning to shoot over 31 meters. That's where you're sniping always. You want to be fastest on target. Shoot bomb, shoot bomb. Here's 0.484 milliseconds. Well, perfect. Let's go for the GRU composite. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked this video. It was a different one. It was more or less stat talk and explaining how to equip your gun. Let's call it an attachment guide video to give you a better feeling for this and to explain some of the values for you and how they work. I hope you liked this one. There's more gameplay to come in the next videos. Again, we've been trying to get really good games with our guns, but the last 2 days have been extremely harsh, riddled by hackers. I'll say it here. Usually we don't have that much hacker problematic, so maybe a new cheat engine was found or not, I'm not sure. But new good games are going to come. I'm going to be try-harding to present you better weapons, the Bruin, and other shenanigans. I wish you a fantastic good time. Thanks for supporting the channel so much. We've had 80,000 channel views in one day, guys. It's the highest I've ever had on YouTube ever in my 6 years of being a content creator. Mind-blowing numbers. Don't forget to check Twitch TV Ponyo from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. where we test out the new guns. I wish you a fantastic good time. Take care and see you soon in Verdansk.